So we've arrived at UMS Tuning for a tuning session on the E36. This is the second time we're getting this car tuned, so it's kind of an update to the existing tune. Now that we have the bigger injectors in the car and the new fuel pressure regulator, although it was the same that was in there before. So basically the new fuel injectors, but we're gonna get it out and get it inside and get started. All right, so the tuning is complete. We have our graph with some new numbers. The car made quite a bit more power actually, especially in the torque curve, which is awesome news. So we're gonna throw it back to the garage here and kind of show you where we made the gains and the improvements based on these recent upgrades that we made. The new 24-pound injectors. I've had the head refreshed since we last dynoed it, but let's jump over to the garage. So taking a look at the graphs in a little bit more detail, this actually looks really, really good, and I'm super happy with just the mild upgrades that we did to the car netted us this much more performance out of the engine. So taking a look at the torque graph, as you can see, the area underneath the curve is the important part that we want to look at. And we have big improvements in about the 3,000 RPM range all the way to about 5,000 RPM range before it starts dipping off just a tad. But overall, really good gains to the tune of over 15 pound-feet of torque in total, which is awesome. That's really gonna be felt on the track in the car. So super excited about that. And similar on the horsepower side, we have gains all throughout the range from low RPMs all the way through to the high RPMs. And we were able to maintain that power towards the very high end of the RPM scale, 6,000, I guess about 5,500 and above, where we weren't able to before. So looking at, what do we have? A little over 10 horsepower gain on the peak side. And overall, this should be a pretty good upgrade and improvement for the car. And I'm excited to see how it improves the times on the track. Now, as a refresher, all we did between the last time I had the car dynoed and this time was I added 24-pound injectors to the car, larger injectors that flow more fuel. The ones that were in there before were 21.5-pound fuel injectors. We put a new 3.5 bar fuel pressure regulator on there. The old one was 3.5 bar as well, but this one was brand new. Put a new air filter on the AFE intake as well. Probably no real gains there, but anyways, got a nice clean K&N filter now. And we also had the cylinder head refreshed. I did the entire cylinder head a little while back when the car had oil leaks from the head gasket after the initial tune. We took the head off, replaced the head gasket, replaced the head studs with ARP head studs, and then had the cylinder head refreshed, the valve seals refreshed, all of the springs and retainers and everything just redone with OEM parts. But that was done as well. Not really any performance gain there, just overall efficiency and reliability. And then we added the new sensors to the car, the fuel pressure sensor, oil pressure, temp. Those were already there, but the fuel pressure sensor was new, which allows the car to be tuned differently. And the tuner can actually use the input from the fuel pressure to manipulate the fuel maps, put in safety checks if we lose fuel pressure, things like that. Also with the oil pressure, now that it's going into the ECU, the computer can see that on the link side. If we're losing oil pressure, it can pull power so that you don't damage the car, that type of stuff. So overall, very happy. I do think I have a stupid oil leak still, so I got to get that figured out. The little oil distribution block that sits on the back end of the oil filter housing where the oil cooler lines go into. I got this little adapter that goes on there where you can plug in a bunch of sensors and things. I only have one sensor in now, so I've got 2 plugs in it. So I think one of those might still be leaking, but we got to pull that off and check it out. But we are done. We are ready to race again. I have a race at Chuckwalla Valley Raceway here in a couple weeks. I'm going to do both days in TT4 and see how reliable the car is and see if we can improve upon our times when I had this car there a year ago. So thanks again everybody for watching. I really appreciate it. If you have any thoughts, comments, or questions, please leave them down below. Consider hitting that subscribe button as well. Like the video if you liked the video. If you didn't like the video, dislike it so I know not to publish these in the future if you don't like it. And stay safe out there. I am checking out. I'll talk to you all next time.